Skyrim challenges are not a new thing on YouTube, and I've only ever done one. But when I discovered the other day that there's a Steam Link app for your phone so you can remote control your computer and play games on your phone, I decided I had to give that a go. So, can you beat Skyrim with just your iPhone? Just like every other Skyrim run, you start off in the wagon headed towards Helgen to get your head chopped off, but I used this to have a good time figuring out the controls. Since mobility wasn't really going to be an option, I decided to go with an orc because they're pretty hardy and have the Berserker Rage ability, and decided since he's going to be a mobile gamer, he's going to be called the Candy Crusher. A dragon attacks, the Candy Crusher jumps out of a window, and I'm faced with my first challenge, getting dressed. I managed to take down the first set of Imperials, however it doesn't take advanced tactics to defeat them, and made my way down to Helgen. After killing the creepy crawlies and running past the bear, I managed to make it out of Helgen and into the open world. I picked the warrior stone for obvious reasons and then went to pawn off some of my stuff at Riverwood. Because of the difficulty of this challenge, I did allow myself to take Fendel as a follower, however he wasn't really much help, so don't worry about it. Once I got to Whiterun proper, I immediately glitched my way out of the map to go underneath the Underforge and get all of Yolan Greymane's free loot. After acquiring a sizable gear upgrade, it was time for my appointment with the Jarl. I made sure to give Fendal some of my excess gear and then got sent to Bleak Falls Barrow to retrieve the Dragonstone. The bandits at Bleak Falls weren't that difficult, however it is apparent that moving around is really hard when you're just touching glass. I tried to get Fendel to stealth kill some of the bandits, however he did decide to just throw his range advantage out of the window. This is one of the only times Fendel did something useful. He came in and finished off the giant frostbite spider for me. I still hate those things. I mercilessly killed Arvel the Swift, fought through some Draugr, and used the Golden Claw to open the big door. Thanks to Berserker Rage, killing the Draugr Overlord was a piece of cake and I was able to grab the Dragonstone. According to the Jarl, there was a dragon attacking one of the watchtowers near Whiterun, but I knew I'd get absolutely destroyed, so I decided to do the Companion's questline until I was able to get the Skyforged Steel Sword. Firstly, however, I decided to steal Fendal the Elven Bow in Jorvaska. Spoiler alert, he didn't even use it once. After training with Vilkas and running some errands, I was able to go do the first dungeon to get the Shard of Uthrad. After getting sworn in, I was finally able to get my Skyforged Steel Sword and go after that dragon. The Skyforged Steel Sword made a huge difference to the damage output I was giving, and I was able to kill the dragon quite quickly. After hearing the call of the Greybeards, it was time to make it up the 7,000 steps of High Hrothgar. This goddamn frost troll gave me so much trouble. In the end, it was a mix of stun locking it and just trying to pour on damage until it died. Fendel didn't even catch up until it was all done. The Greybeards taught me some new shouts and then sent me off to retrieve the horn of Jurgen Windcaller. Got that in one take, yes. After discovering the lack of horn in the tomb of Jurgen Windcaller, it's time to go to Riverwood and rent the attic room in the Sleeping Giant Inn. I make sure to grab Delphine's spare blade sword before going to Kynesgrove to kill another dragon. This dragon was actually a little easier than the first, probably because I got a few cheap hits on it while it was still in its animation, and then was able to finish it off with very little health. Next up was the Thalmor embassy party, so I gave all my stuff to Malborn and ran down to the carriage. The Thalmor gave me a little trouble, but the mages were worse than soldiers and there were definitely more soldiers. To save Malborn, I used a glitch where if you read Esbern's dossier up on the top floor, they'll come out and you can interrupt their animation, killing them pretty quickly. Frost trolls in this game are just the worst for low level characters, so to defeat this one I dual wielded my Skyforged steel sword as well as the blade sword to put out more damage. After that I continued to dual wield. After stopping off at Riverwood to give the news to Delphine, it was time to go through the Ratway and get Esbern. After returning to Riverwood again, it was time for Delphine to give up the inn and for us to go to Skyhaven Temple. The fight with the Forsworn was a bit tricky, but not too bad, and I actually remember these puzzles off by heart because of the amount of times I've played this game. As soon as we got inside the temple, I had my eye set on one thing, the sword Dragonbane. It does as much damage as my Skyforged steel sword does, however it also does extra damage to dragons, which would be really useful in the main quest. I also made sure to deck myself out in the full set of Blades armor that they had lying around there. Once Esbern started his speech about Alduin's Wall, I made sure to go and make myself a cup of tea to make use of the spare time. Once I returned to High Hrothgar, I gave the Horn of Jurgen Windcaller back to Argnir and asked if I could speak to Parthenax on the top of the Throat of the World. After speaking to the Chris Pratt dragon, it was time to get the Elder Scroll. Now, I know I could have just gone straight to the Dwemer Ruin to get it, but I would rather speak to Septimus because he gives me a quest marker, and I am not in the mood to work that out for myself. After arriving at the ruin, I thought I'd take a shortcut and jump down to the bridge below, however I just missed and fell to my death. Not only that, but my last autosave was in Winterhold. After walking all the way back to the ruin, this time I didn't take any shortcuts and walked down the ramp and had to fight my way through the Dwemer automatons. The Thalmor were just awful to fight, but luckily the Dwemer automatons dropped a lot of soul gems, so I was able to recharge Dragonbane and do a bit more damage. At this point I was so sick of this dungeon and just wanted to get out, so I kept trying this shortcut where I jumped down and fought some Thalmor. Luckily, eventually it worked. Since I knew I wouldn't be able to take down the Centurion, I led him into the room with the two raiders waiting to go down into Blackreach, let him take care of them, and then managed to get down there without being detected. I was so happy when I got to the Elder Scroll that I didn't have to go through Blackreach anymore, so I just did the puzzle and left straight away. Once I got back to the Throat of the World, I read the Elder Scroll at the Time Wound and learned Dragon Rend from the Nords of old. After that, the fight with Alduin didn't go so great, however I know that the second fight with him is actually much easier than the first. Thank you, Bethesda. Now it is time for the part of Skyrim that everybody loves, the Greybeards Peace Council. So, I went off to General Turlius and Ulfric Stormcloak and got them to meet at High Hrothgar. I also made a stop off at Riften to purchase Mercurio as a follower, however I completely forgot that when you get to the final dungeon in Skulldafin, you can't take any followers with you, so this was a complete waste of time. As per tradition, I went off and made myself a drink during the Peace Council since it goes on for so long, but luckily once it was over I was able to get Odahving's book off of Esbern. After trapping and talking to Odahving, he agrees to take me to Skulldafin, and now we are on the home stretch. Skulldafin wasn't all too bad. In fact, it was mostly just Draugr, dragons, and terrible puzzles. So once I got to the portal, I just jumped in before the dragon priest could even do anything. The fight with Soon was super easy, it just took a few power attacks. We even used Unrelenting Force on each other at exactly the same time. Once I met up with the Nord heroes of old, we went outside, cleared the sky, and took down Alduin with no problems whatsoever. So yes, you can beat Skyrim with just your iPhone. Thank you so much for watching. This run was a pain in the ass to record, but it was really fun at the same time. I'm really glad I did it. If you want to see more of this kind of video, please let me know in the comments down below, and I'll see you next time. Goodbye.